Hi, in this video I want to explain the so-called balloon analog risk task, the BART. This is actually a popular task in psychology, and I also think it is a really cool task. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it and what it looks like when you run it inside Toolkit. And watch this video. It's very simple to follow. So si- the balloon analog risk task, let's call it the BART. The BART helps psychologists to study how people take risks. And you can imagine that. Imagine you're trying to inflate a balloon. If you inflate it too much, it will burst. And if you don't inflate it enough, if you then you maybe you're unnecessarily cautious. And you can study this. And the cool thing with Site Toolkit is that you can very easily try out this task. So you just click here, and first it gives you a nice introduction. So it says here, in this task, you need to inflate a balloon, shown as a growing circle, here green. And you will see that on your screen. And then under that, you have a pump up button. And each time you can pump up it a little bit more, and then you see it grow. But and every time you pump it up one more time, you get a little bit more money, unless you would burst the balloon. So if you say, well, I'm not going to pump it up further, I'm now getting my money, then you earn that money. And you can imagine the more risk you're willing to take, the more money you can collect. But you're also at a higher risk of losing that money. So this task is really about taking that risk. There's some really helpful instructions, and here it starts basically. You start with a really small balloon, and let's try that. So pump one time, and you saw it grew a little bit. So do it another time. Now, what's also I would like to say is what is nice about this implementation inside Toolkit is it's very dynamic. So if you press the pump a button, you see something happens to that button. You see here now I pressed it every time you get 5p. So I pressed it 7 times. So I earned 35 cents or whatever like currency you work with. It doesn't really matter. But the idea is you get 35 points or pennies or cents or p, whatever you work with. Um, and you can say, well, that's enough. I'm not going to inflate this balloon further, and let's collect the money. And then you also see once you've collected it, this money went to your basically your money box. And also it says here at the bottom, this is still a training block because what we really want is before people do it for real, we want to give them some option to see how this actually works. So, oops, see that? Do you see what happened? It burst, and then I've no more money. So I can try this again, and let's see. Oh, again. Now in the training block, you get, as you see, you get some really cool feedback. So it says total money you could have earned. Now what does it actually mean? Well, imagine you would have every time pumped up the balloon just before it would burst, just one less pump. Then you could have 135, say, cents. But I only got 35 cents. So the potential money that I missed is 100 cents. How many balloons were there? Well, in the practice block there were three. I had only one unexploded balloon. I had, as you saw, two exploded balloons, and on average, I tried to uh, pump it up 7 times. That's that was for the unexploded balloons. Now, once you've done this practice, you know how it works, and then you can try it out. And then it says, now the real game starts. There are 90 balloons. Try to win as much game money as you can win with the game. And remember, it's really about risk taking. The idea is that people who take more risks will dare to go further. And let's see, if you do that, if you always say, well, I go as far as I can go, and look, great, great. Actually, I must also say you can try this yourself. It gives you actually good feeling. Oh, but then it's of course disappointing. Okay, now um, if you want to do this in your own study, one way to make it more um, real for participants is to say, well, we're actually going to give you the money that you earn. So you can do that in like say a 1 cent or 1 euro cent or one penny, if you, depending on which country you are, so that you don't, it doesn't doing the study doesn't break your bank. Uh, well, if I collect this, so in the UK, for example, 255 pennies would be £2.55. Well, it would allow me to buy a coffee, maybe. Okay, and then if I go on, I won't go through the 90 trials, but you get the idea. And at the end, let's try how far we can get. And this is actually, oh, look how I get already. Ooh. So if you do that too often, if you say, well, if you just say, oh, every time I try to make it as big as I can, of course, the task, you don't get that far. I still have only my 250. So then that's something, so I better collect that money. Maybe I just should go for now. Uh, so this is actually, it's really, I think, it's a real fun task. It's one of my favorite tasks. If you want to, normally it would end, of course, with a more scoreboard. I won't go through that. If you want to get out of it, you can press escape, then you go out of the full screen mode. Now, I hope that you found this interesting as well. You know, there's more information for how you can analyze your data. Uh, like to try it yourself? Well, look at the experiment library. There are lots of other interesting experiments. One, by the way, that is somewhat related to that is there's another so like a gambling task, and I need to look it up here. So this I can search for it. Um, the gambling task, the Iowa gambling task. So uh, it's also you know it, it's a decision making task, um, and the idea here is that so you can say it's about uncertainty, as in the balloon task, and it's about reward and punishment. So quite similar. Again, you can also try that task, of course. I personally find this task is just again works with the mouse. It's more a little bit like a lottery. You can win, but I find it's somewhat less exciting. But this implements the original version. So have a look at that if you're thinking about this for your study. I hope you found it interesting, or maybe you just looked at this and you would just want to try it out yourself and see what your score is and how it compares to other people. Also, you can there's uh, if we go to the balloon task again, you can read a free version of the psychological paper that describes it. And let's look at the scoring as well. Um, I I think here we don't report the average scores in people, but I think in the paper you can read more about it. So have a look at it, what you think of it. If you like these sort of videos, please like and subscribe to SciToolKit's YouTube channel.